In progress.
Hello, my name is Hankuk from Woohyun to share, and Happy New Year. And today's class will be about Introduction to Modern Sociology. So for a new year, I am going to have a class about modern sociology, which is covering contents about sociology written by Anthony Giddens. So today, the lecture will be proceeded in the following order. So after we know what is sociological imagination, then we will know about basic ideas and scholars in sociology. Then what is sociology? That's about our society, right? So to be more specific, sociology is actually a scientific study of how human life, group, and social structure affect each other. It means how I, you, we, they, and all has a strong impact on each other. Analyzing this as the key point of sociology. Then what is sociological imagination? This term was coined by Mills at 1970. So it is including complex approach that considers time, place, value, judgment, and our social trend. So like if there is a social phenomenon, then we can use lots of options to analyze it, and we have to take a diverse and complex approach to find out the problem more accurately. I mean, like this, the most famous example is drinking a cup of coffee. It is a very common thing that we have a cup of coffee in every morning. But when you think in the perspective of place, then we can think it is produced in the fertile region of East Africa and South America, which has a very little precipitation but has lots of sunlight that makes coffee beans to be very delicious. Also, we can learn about historical background of drinking coffee. For example, it was actually enjoyed by the royal family of the Europe, but it is now enjoyed by everyone in our society. But we have also have to consider ethical points such as child labor happening on the coffee farms, or like laborers who cannot earn like just full wage for their labor. So like recently there has been trend of fair trade, which is considering local environment and human rights in the process of trade. Also, we can think about what does drinking a, drinking a cup of coffee mean? Like, which interaction can we have by drinking coffee? For instance, coffee can be one of the most effective methods to have a conversation with each other. Like, you can just buy someone a cup of coffee when you want to get more friendly with him. Also, we also have to consider like health problems due to caffeine addiction, like especially in youth, like they stay up all night to study for exams and drink a lot of coffee. That's very detrimental for their health. Also, we have to also know about like how farming tradition has changed from the globalization and colonialism. For instance, lots of countries adopt plantation, which is combination of low wage and advanced technology to like produce coffee in more efficient manner. Then we can divide sociology into two parts. One is micro and macro. Yes, and the same as macroeconomics and macroeconomics that we learned last year. So sociology as narrow analysis of individual interactions, communication, or sometimes aberrations. Aberration means some abnormal actions, including crimes and punishment toward it. So like we can think about interaction between laborers and CEOs, or like how to punish the criminal that has made a murder. Like this includes in microsociology. And macro one, as broad analysis of the how society structure, like policy, custom, tradition, trend, economic system, affects individuals. For instance, like how globalization and FTA affected farmers in Korea. or like how a change in education system will help the middle school students. This will include in macro sociology. Then there is a difference in how to research in the sociological field. There are two types of methods. One is quantitative and second one is qualitative. Quantitative research can be estimated objectively and obviously by statistics or math and fact. So it focuses on universality and objectivity of the society. Like there is universal rule that can be found in mathematical numbers. Also, it is based on the idea of positivism, we will discuss deeply later, but positivism means like considering this social studies same as natural science studies. So like it has to be based on empirical evidence, experiments to like support the hypothesis. This is positivism. For instance, 60% of Koreans drink more than 2 cups of coffee a day. This is made in numbers, so this can be kind of quantitative research. And also like the Gini index of zero point 0.3 is higher than Sweden, so Korea is experiencing greater economic inequality. This also can be a number comparison, so this belongs to this one. And the second method is qualitative research. It includes individual value judgment, group opinion, or like interviewing someone. So like it focuses on background of subjective or intangible event or culture in the society. The perfect example might be analyze this on the culture of Mudang rituals through interviewing local citizens, which is kind of religious action in Korea. And those are key agendas of sociology that we usually deal with. First one is globalization. Recent globalization, due to threat of neoliberalism and like advancement in technology, led to many changes in the world. We will also cover this about this topic later. Second one is gender and minority studies. Like there has been feminism or LGBTQ movements that is affecting the society, whether in positive or negative way. So there should be some discussions about it. The second one is artificial intelligence and fourth industrial revolution. This will have a breakthrough change in human society, including education, labor, in all parts of our life. This is also an interesting topic to study. The fourth one is inequality and conflict among groups. The current society is experiencing high conflict and like polarization in politics, social and economic fields, and also there are environmental issues and climate crisis which happen from Anthropocene. Anthropocene is sociological and geological term that indicates human effect on the earth itself. So like the climate change has evoked because has left too much carbon footprint on the earth. Like this is called Anthropocene, which is the era of human use, like human development and like many problems caused by humans. The last one is war and terrorism in the society. This should be still analyzed because still there are lots of regional conflicts, including Ukraine and Russian war. Then why is it important to run the sociology? Like sociology is, to be honest, not that very preferred major. However, it is important because it provides important clues to solving modern problems mentioned earlier, and we can deeply analyze social trends and affairs. We can raise comprehension on like humankind, like how individual acts and why individual determine certain behavior. Also, it has to be based on consilience. It means it has to be combined with multiple fields and academic searches, including economics, psychology, history, and even ecology, or environmental studies, or even just mechanics to like understand deeper on the topic. So sociology can be related with any kind of topics possible. And also in this class, I will try to connect it with AP classes, though there are not AP sociology, Well, we can connect it with AP comparative government, US government, human geography, macroeconomics, and some part of other subjects. So this will be truly helpful to listen on this because we will raise much more understanding about our society. So this sociology is actually the process of structuration, MS it is making a structure. It was proposed by Giddens, Anthony Giddens, and it is actually accumulation of relationship between I, we, they, and all. So there is a certain trend, inclination, or structure in our society. Like there is a common trend that everybody follows. And sometimes this structure suppresses someone. Sometimes this structure moves or affects somebody's behavior. This is important. This is why it is important to note about these structures. Then there has been some conflicting stances about the society really exists. Social realism represents that, like social structure actually exists itself, therefore it affects individuals. So like there are big structure and there are lots of individuals who are affected with each other. This has led to social organism theory, which means everybody has lots of influence and interacts a lot with another, like very organic things. But the second one is social nominalism. Social nominalism is just social remains to nominal one. Society is just simple sum of individuals, therefore this big structure does not exist and we have to focus on communications among persons, not the macro society itself. Like so this has been like main 2 points about being our society, realism or nominalism. Then from now on, we will run um, main scholars that led to development of sociology. So I want to first introduce um, Auguste Comte, and he created the term social physics. So like actually the sociology first started from the word social physics, but later developed to sociology. I'd like to mention again, and as he supported positivism, that's covering universal rules of society by scientific analysis, such as making experiments and observations. And he also highlighted the power of rationality that every human has. The human moves according to one's rationality. And we briefly knew about this count. And Emma Durkheim, like he is one of the most important sociological scholars. Like he also like succeeded the positive views. So he thought that social facts equals to things. We have to break down and know very thoroughly about the thing, and society is same. So we have to like very concretely analyze our society. And also, he expressed the opinion about division of labor. Because he was born when Industrial Revolution was very active, he thought that division of labor led to mechanical solidarity to organic solidarity with specialization. It means in a traditional society with farming or like making goods in the house, it was limited to mechanical solidarity, like just people bond together and people come together for a certain purpose. However, because it now has changed to organic solidarity, organic means everybody has much more deep like influence with each other, and it is because of specialization. They specialize at certain fields and they have to exchange their capabilities to create a better result. So it needs for more cooperation and more coordination with others to survive. This is the reason why he believes that division of labor has brought more positive effects to society, including the conversion into the organized solidarity. Also, he is the first person that proposed the anomy theory, which is the statue that lacks social standards or structures that led to chaos or depression in the individuals. Like so individuals will fall into lots of depression and like confusion because there is no ethical or social standard to make a decision. One of the most famous has accomplishment is his theory about suicide. He made an analysis on social causes of individual suicide and analyzed how social structure affected the suicide of individuals. And he found that the rate depended on first amount of social integration, which means how people are strongly bonded with each other. And second one is restriction, the amount that society constrains one's behavior. And it was found that rate was suicide rate was more increased if one was richer, if one was man than woman, and unmarried than married, economically unstable than economically very stable. Then why did it happen? He categorized into four things. So there are four types of suicide. First one is egoistic suicide. This happens when there is less integration in the society. For example, in nowadays, there are lots of people who live alone, and they are easy to feel loneliness and fall into depressions, which lead to suicide. So because people are separated and do not have interaction with each other and not integrate with each other, then rate will increase. So this is called egoistic suicide. The second one is altruistic suicide. Um, this happens when integration is too high. Because myself is strongly connected with the society, I have to sacrifice myself to like achieve the general purpose in the group. For instance, Islamic terrorists such as ISIS or Taliban like makes like terror suicide to like achieve their goals in the group. Like although they cause serious like harm in the general society, but it is sacrificing themselves to accomplish some objectives in their Islamic principles. Like so that's kind of example of altruistic suicide. The second one is economic suicide. This happens when there is too less restriction, like kind of an anarchy inside one or inside in society. Like it is a case of after divorce, like one is feel very empty and we're not does not know what to do. Then he has more possibility of doing suicide. Also, like in case of economic recession, such as Great Depression, there was lots of people who suicided, as well as IMF crisis in South Korea. This also proves that economic suicide exists. The last type is fatalistic. Fatalistic suicide happens when there is too high restriction. For instance, like if people is under dictatorship, strong dictatorship that ever intervenes on one's behaviors, then he will feel very powerlessness. Like he will feel very helplessness to like protest against this authoritarian government, then he will rather choose to die because he cannot change anything. So there's were four types that Durkheim has organized. Then this has criticism, but also has significance in the development of sociology. In case of criticisms, first, it underestimated non-social factors of suicide. For example, there are lots of personal circumstances that made people want to die, but it did not include such factors. Second, it universalized categories of suicide. Actually, suicide cannot be simplified into these four types, so these were main criticisms. However, it has a great significance to the sociology because it discovered impact of social structures, which one was first integration, second restriction that to individuals. Also, it pioneered scientific approach in sociology because it utilized lots of statistics to prove its hypothesis. Then let's move to our third scholar. Here's Karl Marx, who is very famous for communist theories. However, though he is known as communist, he has actually made groundbreaking impact on sociology, philosophy, and economics. His famous books, which is Das Kapital and the Communist Manifesto, concentrates on the analysis on the paradox of the capitalism, why the capitalism necessarily fails. So he devoted his life to economically analyze the essence of capitalism. Then the consequence was that he claimed for human liberation from suppressive structures, from revolution. We will discuss it later, but for instance, in capitalist society, there is labor and owner of property labor, so there will be significant barrier. And the final goal is liberating the laborers from this strict structure, and therefore labor could achieve human rights and human dignity. And this can be done by proletarian revolution, he thought. It has highly affected social movement, including feminism, environmental studies, and farmers movement, and all kinds of movements to reduce inequalities. Also, he believed that division has caused inequality and alienation. This is contrasted with Durkheim's ideas that labor increases solidarity, but rather, Marx believed that it will cause inequality and alienation because it requires certain barrier for people to enter the market. So to know more specifically about contradiction in capitalism, this is the main process how it acts. First, there is lots of competition to make profit, and it leads to some kinds of monopolized capitalism status, and it leads to overproduction. The capitalism makes overproduction that exceeds its demand, which will make lots of stocks to pile up, and it leads to depression. So this is why depression happens in capitalist society that Marx tried to explain. Also, he believed that hierarchical conflicts are universal rules that found in human history, and also it is the very important power that has propelled the progress in the society. It started from the primitive communism in the hunting and gathering society because productivity was really low. The people just exchanged goods and shared all the things very equally. But after the nation has emerged, it led to imperialism, which is the conflict between king and slave. Then in the medieval times, it led to feudalism. Feudalism is based on the conflict of knights and just peasant who has more land to just farm for life sustenance. Then after more economic revolution, uh, then the era of capitalism has arrived. So we are living in capitalistic society, but Marx believes that sometimes this accumulation of products will lead to proletarian revolution, and after a certain period of socialism, then it will lead to finally communist society, which is highly utopian when we look nowadays. So communist society is not just horizontally and vertically equal society, but Marx claimed that communism as real laborers can be liberated from the suppression of their owners. However, these theories are considered to be failed when we see the case of China and former Soviet Union, to be honest. But this can be referred to analyze inequality problems in nowadays. For instance, Thomas Piketty has written 21st Capital that succeeded Marx's view to analyze why economic polarization is getting worse nowadays. And to move on, Karl Marx's theory was based on dialectical materialism. So it is based on the idea that if there is a thesis, then antithesis comes. Like this is opposite to first thesis. Then the two collide with each other, then it creates synthesis, which is like the middle of thesis and antithesis. So solving a problem. Also, this is the way how the paradigm in the society changes. So the synthesis requires the process of, let's say, protest and renovation, such as proletarian revolution to change our society structure. And this provided motivation for historical development, to mention again. So this is the basis and Weber in English, base and superstructure that has Marx proposed. Most of the things that we enjoy nowadays includes to the superstructure. This includes ideas and society, including politics, laws, education, religion, art, and other things except economy. And base is just economy. And to be more specific, there are relations of production at the first hand. And second, there are productive forces, which are also named as means of production. So relations of production is who makes the product, and this can be explained as conflict between bourgeois and proletariat. And in case of productive forces, it's just how and through which method a person can produce a good. So that includes basic economic factors such as land, labor, capital, and entrepreneurship. So these two things include two mode of production. Mode means like some tradition, the way, culture that makes production. So the disparity in the duration and force, like there will be some delay because productive forces develop very fastly, like technology develop very fastly, but production cannot accompany with the fast speed. So there's inequality in speed of relation and forces will lead to contradiction, which will make change in the mode, also known as societal structure. In addition, it is important to know that such base will greatly shape the superstructure. So most of things in our society is determined by economical systems. Economy is the most crucial thing and fundamental things that determines all of the immaterial things that we enjoy in our life. So this was the basic structure that Marx has stated. That this infrastructure plus base as our whole society as a result. Well, we finished until Marx, and we'll next move to fourth scholar. Welcome, Max Weber. Um, he thought that focus should be made on incentive rather than value of social actions of individuals. So, while such Durkheim and Marx focused on more macro sociology, Weber greatly focused on microsociology. So he tried to analyze interactions among the people. As a result, he put criticisms on positivism because he thought that sociology can be understood in like analytically or analyzing the hidden meaning of person's behavior in certain context. For example, oh, why people are drinking lots of cups of coffee a day? Or why people tend to spend too much time on watching YouTube. This is comprehending Lama's paper in certain context, and this is called Bersten in German. So like he expressed his opinion against the positivism which is prevalent at the society. So he thought that sociology is not finding the universal law or structure, but should be what can be understood by drilling on the individual actions. So he used ideal type. Ideal type is like group of certain features or factors that exist in the abstract concept. So like when a sociologist try to propose an hypothesis, then like he will group something in a certain criteria or category to like make analysis more convenient. Also, he claimed for rationalization, and as modern society gets more organized and more rational based on its efficiency. Like because technology has developed and society is getting more complex, either displace traditional like cultures most, but they increase bureaucratic provisions. Like there will be more provisions and interventions on the human society. For instance, like in the Wall Street of New York, although people do not make market purchase by face to face, but they can like they trade lots of stocks and like bitcoins with online system. However, in some regions, there are actual local markets that people can buy fresh goods. So, like such traditional culture is now displaced by such more modern mode of production. This is the definition of rationalization that Weber thought. So, like rationalization, though it makes society more efficient, it is not always seen to be very good because it is more separating more person and reducing the cohesivity of the society. And to introduce about one of the most renowned, the article of him would be Protestant ethic and spread of capitalism. He thought that capitalism stems from Protestantism ethics, which is based on Calvinism. Calvinism believes that every job has calling from the God. It means God has assigned every goals and dignities that a job has to perform. Though everybody has to struggle a lot in their life to accomplish something and live a very diligent life. So like this kind of Calvinism encouraged people to live more diligent life to be dominated by the God. And therefore it provided incentives on the capital and merit. It allured lots of wealthy people who started to accumulate their wealth through trade. So like it provided some psychological or religious root of the capitalism. Therefore, it proves the religious approach to the society, and therefore it should be remembered as one of the most important fit. So now we will talk about theories on the social structures. We have main three theories, which is functionalism, conflict theories, and symbolic interactionism. First of all, functionalism believes that society interacts very organically, everything related with each other, and society is based on moral consensus among individuals. That there has been consensus and state of harmony in the society. Therefore, it can achieve stability as they perform own function. For example, doctors care the patients, and the bus drivers drive the bus, and like students study hard so that every society can remain its balance of the function. Also, it believes that because because the limited goods are allocated by one's like merit or accomplishments, so inequality will necessarily happen. And this is important to maintain our society. So functionalism believes that inequality should remain in the at least scale to like give incentives to work harder and maintain balance in the society. So it can be like evaluated very nice that because it has an efficient allocation of limited resources leading to social stabilities. However, it is thus too conservative to explain social conflict and fluctuations. For instance, if the society is very peaceful and harmonious, then why does the war happen? Why does the protest happen? The theory cannot explain this. Though we will move on to conflict theories. It is based on conflict and inequalities among the different groups. For instance, who is rich and poor, or like man and woman, elders and the young generation, or like laborers and employers. Like this kind of very conflicting groups. So inequality might be universal, it might happen, but it has to be removed in the final stage. So this collapse of inequality or suppressive hierarchy will lead to progress in the society. So to mention again, it affected social movements and also postmodernism thoughts. So it is an advantage that it analyzes inequality in terms of social structure, that how social structure like suppresses the one's like potentials. For instance, like a children who is very talented at studying cannot get proper education because he has a very poor home condition. And it's very sad that he cannot fully show up his potentials. So like this is how structure influences one. So it cannot be like overcome by one's efforts. There are certain limits that one cannot overcome through his endeavors. Like this is how conflict theory thinks, whereas functionalism believes that everything can be done by one's lots of endeavors and investments. And however, one of the serious like defect of this theory is that it underestimates cooperation and harmony in society. We know that the society is not always only fights. There are lots of corporations and specializations which enriches our lives. The last theory is symbolic interactionism. It must be differentiated from the last two theories because it adopts micro-sociological view. So although the previous two were based on societal structure, but it is about like personal interactions. So human can subjectively define situations with rationality, and human society use complex symbols to convey meaning. For instance, when I raise hand while walking to the pedestrian's crossroad, then it signs that I am walking to the road, so be careful when driving. Or we use lots of complicated languages to convey our emotion, love, empathy. And and also like there are some functions, for instance, like um offering a cup of coffee for for my friend can be very important action to maintain our relationship. So society actually changes or forms by accumulation of these interactions. So it has a greater focus on behavior of individual itself, but it underestimates the impact of the social structure. Now let's hold the example of the child abuse problem. When the sociologists try to analyze this problem, then first, the functionalism sociologists will say the problem is caused by misfunction of family, school, and society to take up children. Because family is not taking care of children in a appropriate manner, and school is not teaching about how to prevent child abuse, and society is bystanding such problems. Everybody is not taking their roles. everybody is not performing their responsibility at a certain level, then the solution will come from education. Like education to perform their responsibility to like inform the police about child abuse, like or like prevent child abuse through more educations to parents, like this, or like more or like stronger punishment to like criminals who made child abuse. Meanwhile, sociologists who adopt conflict theories will say that problems occur from conflicts due to like economic disparities, since child abuse is more common in like home with poor economic conditions, or authoritarian relationship between old and young generation will also cause child abuse. Like this is problem of hierarchy, right? One is richer and poorer. Because richer people monopolize more social resources, inequality happens. And also because people who are order takes more resources and takes more authority, it suppresses the action of the young children. So this has been finally eliminated. So the final goal of conflict theories is to achieve equality, horizontal equality between such old people, young people, and rich people and poor people. Because poor people and young people can retrieve their rights and human dignity, they can improve their situation from child abuse. However, symbolic interactionism theory will focus on the distorted communication between parents and children. So it will not blame for the social structure, but actually it will stress more on like how to have a more kind conversation between parents and children, or like how to like punish children in more soft and appropriate ways. Like this is adjustment on the manner of personal interactions, not just strong policies or laws to enforce them. Yeah, so basically we learned about first, what is sociology, and second, how can we sociology study it? Third, we learned about four main scholars who contributed to advancement in sociology. And four, we have run three main theories that explain the social structure. So, with emerging complex problems nowadays, understanding our society is really important. So, learning sociology will open your perspective to different ideas on our on our society. Also, it will help you to more critically view on social issues. So I hope you to love my lectures about sociology that will be continued for an year. This is reference for today's class. And thank you so much for listening. I hope you see you next time. And please don't forget to press like button and subscribe this channel if it was helpful. See you next time.